Well, church can't hold together because there isn't the faith in each other. In other words, the cement is missing. The individual people are there, but the bonding, that which holds them together, is very weak indeed, or even absent. If you don't have faith and trust in each other, then you don't have a group at all. You just have a heap of sand that, well, sand doesn't hold together. You see, you have to put your trust in each other. You have to come to each other's support and rescue. You are the bonding, and if you're not active, then, well, it doesn't hold together. Not one stone will be left upon another. I don't mean that the organisation won't continue, because that's the way the world works, but there isn't any bonding, you see. Each is doing what's in its own best interest is. It's being nice and kind, because being nice and kind is part of the acceptability. Everyone's very acceptable, but there isn't the integrity. Integrity meaning that which holds you firm and keeps you on course. You see, a church is a misnomer. It, if you like, it isn't really what Jesus was setting up at all. It's Pauline, and it's the world's solution to people that are individualistic in the sense of, if you like, the sin of self. And they come together because there's some mutual gain, and they are in fact motivated for a gain, a self-gain, and their behaviour and actions are accordingly. So they have to be organised together in a sort of a code of conduct and leadership and structure, and it's a bit like having a worship service that's organised instead of one that naturally holds together, because the individuals love God and love each other. And if you put such people together, well, they worship and they fellowship, and they are a body, a spiritual body. But the world doesn't know of such. It's alien to it, because it's not made up of essentially loving people. And therefore they hold together by having a structure and rules and a code of conduct and behaviour that's mutually accepted and adhered to, at least formally, but used for the individual self-gain. So we have leaders and others who are assigned to be followers, and the followers obey the leaders, and they even call each other pastor or vicar or leader or a person who has some office. And in other words, it's a very artificial construct, because the reality of the integrity of faith and trust and love and kindness is in large measure not there. To some extent it's there, of course, because they are the very ingredients, the essence, the input of what life is, and there wouldn't be any life at all if there wasn't some cooperation and some kindness and some, but it's not able to withstand the great waves of desire of self and wanting the rest of the world to so be thinking and doing things my way all the time. And so with that as the underlying spirit, you can't have a heavenly fellowship. You just have a church. And, you know, the Jesus' teaching is very clear: call no man pastor or father or leader or teacher or, you know, whereas the Pauline approach is very much, well, we all have roles, we're all part of the body, and, you know, this is your job and this is my job, and if we don't stick to those rules, the place falls apart. And of course, we don't stick to those rules because the underlying impetus in all action is self-interest. I don't mean 100%, but certainly not enough to have a heavenly, united, loving fellowship. So you see it reflected in service. Service is an action that is in some sense distinct from who you are. It's something you do, you practice. And in the literal church meeting, the service, say on Sundays, typically, in fact in most churches almost exclusively, the activity is organized, preset, practiced before it is performed, and the congregation is entertained and taught by the leaders from the front, and even the way you worship is preset. In other words, it's not a spontaneous outbreak of life, of love and compassion and kindness and so on. It's a polished performance of practice, procedure and form. And the world survives that way, given the mix and the complex of individualism that and separateness that is its basic texture. It's sand, you see. It has an incredible individuality about each grain, each member as it sees it. It's not a in fact, they even sort of see each other, I think, as individual bricks in a building, whereas a cement building, concrete building, is not made up of individual blocks that are cemented together. It's you pour out the cement, and it's firm all the way through. It's not that there are bricks and there are mortar. The true spiritual family of God is more like a cement building than a brick-built building. Something like that. So if there isn't the trust and the kindness and the trust in each other, then everyone's at risk. And, well, of course you don't have a family. You have the nightmare of the world's understanding of a family where they're all jostling for supremacy and power and position and role, and it's all very unhappy. You can't come to God that way. You can only experience what it is to be secular and realize how much you need God and how much you need loving kindness and how much you don't have it. So, we're not worshipping scripture. We're not learning from teachers. Kingdom of Heaven's not like that.
They're the true family.
People that are one in spirit because they know they are of the same spirit. They're of the same values. And their security is in that integrity and trust and faith. They are faithful to each other, you see. They can rely on each other. They're not having to watch their back. They're not critical of each other. They're not suffering that isolation of the world whilst being involved in some organized community. Real relationships are not like that. They're built on a trust and a love and a naturalness, and you know, friends come together, they don't say what the procedure will be. It's not a meeting. And I'm at fault really to take a position on boards of various organisations as if I'm the decision maker, and of course it's actually just a power struggle and structure, and well, it's the way the fallen world has to work, or it would have nothing at all. The godly life is being godly. It's not belonging to, it's not having a role. It's not going through patterns of procedure. That's what the world does to hold together at all. That's how the secular world's organised. We have contracts and we have obligations, and whereas when your values are the same and good values, harmonious, all the qualities we ascribe to God, you know, we know the list, don't we? Honesty, openness, kindness, forgiveness, compassion, wisdom, creativity, joy, peace, all the qualities, put them all together. If you have these qualities, then you are naturally, automatically found to be
part of the kingdom.
And it's wrong to think of it as a kingdom. God is not dominating like some autocratic ruler. He doesn't even tell you what's wrong. We surmise what's wrong and we write out scriptures and tell people this is right and this is wrong. But God does not. He remains utterly silent in his love and care. He doesn't dominate. He doesn't. You're in the right or you're in the wrong. And yet he provides every moment of your life, every atom of the universe. You see, that's what love is. It's a great caring, because you're caring for that which is your own. And we are his own, our own, in this extraordinary oneness of beings that have the true values of God, are godly. And it is that which is their integrity and that which bonds them and holds them together. And it's a magnificent, eternal, wonderful state. It's the kingdom of heaven. That's what God has made. And we have to experience what it's like to not have that, so that we come to value it for real. And that's what church life is, experiencing what it's like when you don't have those true common core values. that we ascribe to God and not to the congregation. Although we all know in our heart that that's what the congregation must have for it to be the kingdom of heaven. And we experience the reverse, we experience the fruit of, with the knowledge of good and evil, of what it is to have this brightening mix of both some love, some compassion, and a great deal of self-interest, and the isolation and the lack of integrity and holding together. So we make decisions, we excommunicate people, because how else can the church function? And of course that's very true, because the church is not the way of God. Paul did not get it right. He brought the world's way back into the spiritual integrity that Jesus teaches us. And the world, of course, ran after the familiar. It ran after Paul. And Paul was experiencing the same problem. The Jerusalem church could not accept him because, again, they had a conception of how it should be their way. And, my way is always right, isn't it? And until we learn that, it's insufferable, it doesn't hold together, and we need the kingdom of heaven, and we need to find out more clearly what that
is by experience, if it's not already
in you. If you don't have that experience, you've got to find it.
And that's what this world's about.
But it's not the kingdom of heaven. And churches are not some beautifully prepared bride.
But rather more like the world.
Business and self-interest and profit and rules and procedures and legalities and policies and ways of doing things that try to survive in a milieu of, self-interest, unlove, self-love. And it has a role, just as much as the joint stock trading company has a role, or the political party has a role, but it is not the kingdom of heaven. Because the kingdom of heaven is something that's spiritual. It's determined by what your values are. And I don't mean, of course, that organizations, be they companies or churches or what have you, aren't all the time trying to promote the right values. They certainly are, but the people don't have those values. They conform to the rules that hopefully reflect such values. But of course rules are not what heaven is about. Heaven is about the spontaneity of love and care and creativity, kindness and compassion. And I could go on with all the list that we all know so well.
Let me make a break there. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.